Uh, informal meeting for August 12th, 2024. Now in session. We're talking the draft minutes of the July 18th, 16th, 24, and 29 meetings and the posted on the city website. Committee reports have also been posted on the city website. So we can get right to department reports. And Chief, would you like to, Fire Chief, would you like to?
I'll say which one. Had 34 calls for service for the month of July. There was one fire, mutually fire cover, and then one brush fire we had. And then there was 5 rescue calls, 4 were car accidents, and one was a water rescue, Weechee Lake. That actually got called off for, so we didn't actually have to go. 3 hazardous conditions, so power lines, gas leaks, things like that. And then 3 service calls, 2 water problems, and 1 authorized burning. And then just 1 good intent call and 20 false alarms. That's it.
Can I ask a question?
You bet.
Yeah, one of the accident on Fifth and Union, was that one of your calls in that month?
Yeah, yeah.
Do you have, what, I came out shortly, I live on that corner, and I came out right after it happened. Do you know what the cause was?
I don't.
Okay.
That probably got investigated by HPD, but
Okay. All right,
yeah, we just pretty much go just to make sure it's secure and stuff.
with the individual who's in the car that flipped,
Mhm.
was that person injured?
I wasn't at it myself,
Oh.
but I don't think there was any injury. So,
Okay.
just evaluations.
The people in the other car were walking around,
Yeah,
and I came out, the person in the other car had been taken away.
yeah, probably just for evaluation of that. It was something that had any serious injury to it, so.
Yeah, my knowledge, there was nothing serious.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Any online questions or public? Thank you, sir.
Thank you. All right. Cool.
Media does not seem to be here. It's good to see you can go right to the police department. Oh, by the way, Liz is on vacation. She'll be back soon. Catch up with the reports. But now we have chief of police.
Liz was enjoying the Olympics in Paris.
I know.
Is what it is. Little jealous, but that's okay. Hello, good evening, everyone. For July, we did have 2 use of force incidents. One in which a taser was displayed, not used, not deployed. Arrest was made without any further incident. And the second one, taser and pepper spray was used against someone who was actively resisting. And if you want any more details about that, please let me know and reach out and we can discuss it. If there's any other questions with it. Body camera report, sorry, no indication of further training or any discipline with that as well. Number of arrests was 17 for July, bookings was 39. And number of emotionally disturbed person calls was 5. And no incidents involving a drug overdose or Narcan. I just want to say thank you to everyone for National Night Out, anyone who was able to come or participate in any way, and for the support of the city. It was a great turnout, and I've received a lot of feedback, and please let me know if you have any feedback about what we can do better or anything more we can do for next year, because I hope it could be an annual thing for us. And then lastly, no accidents involving pedestrians. With a lot.
I'm gonna practice my pitching for next year.
Please do.
How many fell?
I've lost count, to be honest. I know President DiPietro tried, but he didn't. The kids were thrilled though. So, myself, Detective Meister and Officer Martinez, were in the dunk tank and got very wet. So, but it was fun. It was a good time.
Any questions from the council members?
Yeah, I have, sorry. This is something I just want to put closure to.
Okay.
So several months ago, I brought up a question about no right turn on red
Yes.
at Fairview and Green.
Mhm.
And we've had an email from a community member regarding this a couple of times. I think we had one today or yesterday. I have since discussed the issue with DPW. My understanding is the intersection was designed, developed by, traffic engineers. There are no issues with it, and as far as I know, there is to be no further action unless the police department decides that they feel there should be a sign there, but from my perspective, the matter is closed. I just want to draw a line under that so that it doesn't keep coming up every week.
Okay, that is correct. I think the conversation that I had with Commissioner Bauer as well as DPW is that it was engineered and it was designed so that the timing with the lights would prevent any issues with the right on red.
Yeah.
I did do some research for that intersection for this year. There was one accident in April, where a vehicle thought they could turn right on red and didn't. And so they stopped and then was rear-ended, subsequently rear-ended. I'm not sure that even putting a no turn on red would have prevented that, because then they still would have stopped abruptly anyway to prevent that, right? Other than that, most of the accidents that occur there are in the parking lot of Stewart's.
Correct.
And not actually on the intersection.
And when we put together the accident data for the speed limit reduction,
Mhm.
we got a year's worth. It was pretty much all stuff in Stewart's parking lot.
Yes,
Yes, so I just wanted to bring that up, draw a line under it, so we don't have to talk about it again.
thank you.
Is there any data before the improvement?
Just.
I know that used to be about accidents, you know,
Mhm.
but not.
Prior to, I can probably generate some of that data.
It'd just be interesting, because again, that did have a no turn, right? And now-
Yes.
Now it doesn't, if we had more accidents before, then
Correct.
so maybe the improvement is working.
I would say so. We haven't really been into in that intersection for that purpose.
Right.
And if you would like, data on that, I can get it.
It'll be interesting if you get time.
The parking signs for the Oakwoods, they were ordered in June or July.
I thought it was June. That was my understanding.
Okay, so it will take probably 3 months, you think?
I can double check with DPW and just see where we're at with that.
That'll be good.
So that hopefully, I don't know if they would be erected before the start of school. Ideally, yes, but,
Okay,
you know.
right, thanks.
That's it. Any members of the public? Online?
No, no.
No? Thank you, chief.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Brad Perry, where are you? You don't seem to be online here. Let's see, Rob? Hold on. And come back to me. One thing I want to bring up, because it needs more conversation, is, Councilmember Mizan has talked about it. The continual problem of the intersection at Columbia and Prospect on the northern side of the hospital. Oh wait, here's Rob Perry. We'll get back to that. Rob, you ready?
Hold on a second. It's a speed round, I guess.
Yeah.
I think I'm the only one here, right? All right. Let's see.
Yeah, you do it. I'll finish while Rob's figuring that out. I don't hear it.
That's all right. I gotta get my feet.
Take it away, Rob.
Okay. I didn't realize I'd come this early. So septic for June was $46,864. That's a good month. Keeps us on pace. We did have our annual sewer inspection back in, I think it was in May. Yeah, May 30th. So this is just the cover sheet from it. Obviously, the key point is that the overall rating is satisfactory, which, is the highest rating DEC gives. You'll see in this instance, there's a check under the F, but really it's not applicable. Chris is the formally registered. What happened is we lost another chief operator to more money somewhere else. And so Chris is someone who was working for us at the water department who also has a sewer license. So we moved him down there, and this is just DEC affirming that he needs to take all of the regulatory steps to be able to act as an operator down there. We've had some after a month of dryness, we've had some real weather lately. So, this is just the main influent on the right here. That this is a 30-inch pipe, and you can just kind of see the torrent that's coming down. This was significantly after the rain, and it was, the rain had dissipated. But this is a manhole that's upstream of it, and what we have is there's another pipe that's not visible under this flow that is backing up into this manhole and depositing. This is all grit, which is choking up this manhole and the one above it. So, we have some options to discuss with DEC, but we have to, take some precautions because this is the system upgrades that we've done are now delivering more storm flow to the plant, but it's significantly more than we had anticipated. So that'll be, an upcoming project. The bar screens, which are the front of our treatment process, we did have a bond resolution to purchase a new one that was approved a couple of months ago. We did issue the purchase orders in March, or in May. Those have a large lead time, about 6 months. In the meantime, we have to limp the existing ones along. So if you see a pump down there, that's just because when we're trying to clean out the existing grit from the malfunctioning bar screens, we use that as a temporary bypass. All right, here we go. All right, oops. Moving on to water. So we had our biannual inspection of the Churchtown Dam, and no deficiencies noted. So that's about as good as you get from the DEC. And let's see, what else do we have? So we had this is a pit that was done when the new plant was built 15 years ago, and there's a valve in it that is malfunctioning. Last month we talked about the insertion valve that was installed over here. So now that we've removed the cap and exposed the vault, this larger structure here on the left is the gate valve, the butterfly valve. That's got to get replaced. We have to pull the guts out and replace the spool piece. So that's the next step, and then we'll be able to do pipe cleaning from this vault as opposed to the old vault. We also have our lead service inventory project. They're about 2/3 of the way through city properties, and we're on pace to meet the October deadline. So that's that. DPW. So this is this is what $10,000 looks like. This is the thermoplastic material that we use for the crosswalks, and it has to get melted onto the crosswalks. And it's the reason we use this is we used to use just striping paint years ago, and what would happen is come January the paint was all gone, and then in March it was everybody's folly to say DPW hates pedestrians, DPW hates crosswalks, DPW blah blah blah. And so with this product, at least it lasts a couple of seasons. The downside is it's very labor intensive. It takes probably 5 or 6 crew members. They have to measure. Some are laying down, some are cutting it to piece. The road has to be blown with a leaf blower first to get clear, and then the pavement has to get preheated, and then the material has to be melted onto it. So it takes, this stop bar, this crosswalk, and this crosswalk, it's a couple hours worth of work easily. And like I said, it takes about 5 or 6 of the crew members. You can see the remnants of the last application are still visible, but faint. So there was a couple of years ago, this is a newest one that was done over by the tennis courts. And so a couple of years ago, there was questions about what happens to DPW in the summer. So what I did is I went through all our timesheets for the month of July. And so ostensibly, you've got 9 employees here that are in street maintenance, 2 in parks, 3 in refuse, and 2 are mechanics. So theoretically, the purple should be all purple. Like you see, parks, they're doing mostly the parks people. The refuse, green should be green, but you'd see some of this, different color. The yellow, it means that they're not there, whether it's a vacation, a holiday, they're sick. Mechanics are here. Well, the reason I show this to you is because although the refuse and the park portions are pretty well staffed, if they aren't, we shift people from DPW. And once you see the vacations that come in, so a lot of times, we have 9 members of a crew for the street maintenance, but you can see, like on this 24th, there were only 1, 2, 3 that were actually available. So, a lot of the requests that come from this body and the citizenry involve, blacktopping and crosswalks and striping is very labor intensive. And if there's only 4 members of the crew, we just simply can't staff the crew. Now, this is, I believe, like 2020 data. It's actually been compounded because last year or so, you guys adopted a comp policy, which I'm sure sounded very nice on face value, because when they worked overtime, they could take the comp time and it would have, it decreased the cash impact on the budget. The problem is we can't do work without the guys here. And I have some employees that have only been here a couple of years that are taking, they would only have 2 weeks of vacation, but they have another 2 to 3 weeks of comp because they've worked overtime on weekends and refuse and various projects. So hopefully during negotiations next year, we will revisit this issue and how it's operated. We have the new lifts down at the garage. I showed you this before. This just shows them in action, upside down. And so now the mechanics are easier, it's a much safer condition. It's easier for them to, do their job. I mentioned this last week. We used to do brush cleanup for a couple of weeks in the spring and a couple of weeks in the fall for the leaf pickup and a couple of weeks in the holidays for Christmas trees. These, this is the second run that was done last week, and it's just, everybody's got these, I don't know, it's something that really is consuming a lot of manpower that typically would only be an issue during times of the year when they weren't busy doing all the other things that we need to be doing. So, this is something we'll probably need to revisit in the future as to what the constraints are and how we operate it. These are the photo cells. So this is what a typical photo cell looks like for the street lights. It basically tells the light to turn on and off. And this is what we have with the new ones, the smart nodes. So they actually communicate with each other. If there's an issue with one, it will, it'll alert us through software that there's an issue. You have the ability to modify the output, within certain constraints. You can't be like candlelight, but we do have some flexibility that these provide that wouldn't be, normally lights either on or it's off. As part of finishing the project, the contractor had to rent a scissor lift, so this was an increase of $8,000 to the budgets. We have a contingency and an allowance, so it's within that, but this is so they can access the lights that were within our parks. We will have an online auction for surplus equipment. We do it every couple of years, and usually when we have enough to warrant it. But don't get your hopes up. A lot of the things almost everything that we auction is dead by all mechanic standards, and usually it's scrap value. So the surplus vehicles are a couple $100. Surplus dump trucks might be $500 or $800, simply because they're just that far gone. Engines, chassis, axles, frames, you name it, they have issues with it all. But They do have some cash value. So you'll see resolutions to surplus the equipment as well as a resolution to enter an agreement with Auctions International, and then they manage the online auction for us. Going to GRI, so Louise started their prep work with the Second Street stairs, and then we had that torrential rain, and so everything washed down and is down on the bottom of Cross Street now. But that's, that's on them. Just some work here. This is site work. The sidewalk's been demolished at First and Warren. This is also First and Warren, the opposite corner, where you can see saw cutting. They're getting ready to demo this. We have, some ADA work that was completed. You guys created a couple of accounts for us to work out of. And so this is on the Amtrak lot, creating the 6 new handicap spots with the van accessibility. And similarly, up at behind City Hall, up at the parking lot at 520 on Columbia Street. This is on the other side behind the Whaler, the former, whatever it was, I can't remember, that hotel. And these are also down back at Amtrak, but this shows the ADA handicap path to go to the sidewalk. The work to be done on the sidewalk ramps, we're waiting for their final numbers, but that work is expected to start the last week of August. And that's basically all of Warren Street and a number of other intersections where they'll saw cut to make everything flush and then trim it out as it goes further up into the sidewalk. And that way we meet the ADA standards for egress and pitch. Back to the bridge, we have just, more construction related stuff. These are forms for the west abutment. You can see all the rebar that's coming out from a previous pour, and all this new rebar gets turned into a lattice that goes all the way up. Once that's all done, concrete truck comes. This is a pump truck, the concrete truck dumps into it, and in it goes. Before any of the loads, concrete have to be poured. There's a number of tests that need to be prepared. So this is the air test where concrete samples put into a bucket. These clamps are put down on it, sealed. They pump air into it, and it's supposed to be between 5 to 8% air, which is considered viable for a freeze-thaw environment. Temperature, which is this basically your regular cooking thermometer you can use to check the temperature of your roast beef, and they just put it in the concrete. It shouldn't be more than 93 degrees. There are a slump test, which is basically they fill this cone up, compact it, turn it upside down. It drops down. They put a ruler in it, and it shouldn't drop down more than 4 to 5 inches. And in this instance, it only went down about 3 or so. So all those are the field tests that are done, and everything is good. The final set of tests are these cylinders get filled each, and these caps go on it, and it goes off. It's stored at the testing lab, and then at 8 days, they perform a brake test, which is they take a cylinder out, they put it in under a press that monitors PSI, and the goal is to get 8,000 PSI. If they don't hit it in the 7 days, they can try again in 14, 21, and 28. But usually sometime between the 7 and the 14-day break, everything meets the minimum standard. And this is kind of just showing you. So the old bridge deck, used to be like here, where these down here in this little landing off to the side. It was kind of flush with that old wall, so you could see this is the bridge is going to be supported by this. Gives you an idea of how much larger the new bridge will be. These are the penetrations for the new utilities. So the larger one is for the new water main. The smaller one is for the new gas main. And these are for the bridge bearings. They're set, but apologize, this didn't scan as well as I did. Most people don't realize it, but the actual trusses from the bridge are actually on bearings so that they can move. You don't really notice it, but because traffic is a dynamic load, they need to kind of have a little give to them. So the bearings help transfer the movements of the loads as they go over the bridge, and keep everything from breaking down, cracking, and elsewhere. The bad news is that the bridge, these are construction of these is delayed, so there's really no more work to be done on the bridge until we have those. And so we're looking at a 2-week shutdown of the project. These have to be fabricated and then they have to go to DOT to be tested. So hopefully within 2 weeks, we're back on schedule. There is some play within the schedule, but there's really nothing to do without having this key component. And that is that.
Ron, can you explain to me, a while back, we got a letter from DEC, a consent decree about the sewer, system. Can you explain how that impacts projects that are before the planning board?
Well, what happens is what the DEC has done is our speedies permit states basically that any new connections that exceed 2,500 gallons a day or exceed 4 connections cannot increase the quantity or, if you will, the strength of the CSO. Well, obviously, the first one is kind of difficult to prove one way or the other, but the latter is impossible to meet, because if you add 1 new gallon of sanitary flow and you have a sewer overflow, a CSO event, you've increased the potency, if you will. And so there's no way around it. So at this point, then what we have is we met with the DEC back in February, and the way that they came up with it, because our speedies permit is so old, they're in the process of modifying it, but they haven't changed our speedies permit. We have no way, no mechanism within our current long-term control plan, speedies permit, or any of our other approved regulatory documents. So they issued a consent order, so that way we can reply to that consent order with the mechanism to address this issue. But the reality is, if you're a new developer, you're going to need some kind of an offset for the number of gallons of sanitary flow, not storm flow, sanitary flow. And those will be a 4-to-1 offset in the system, not on your property. So if you are going to be a new whatever restaurant and you're going to generate 5,000 gallons worth of new sanitary flow, you have to find 20,000 gallons worth of stormwater savings in the system, which would be, construction of, separation of various manholes, but it'd be pretty expensive. In the interim, the city is given credits, if you will, for work that it's already done on Union Street and down on Columbia Street, Lower Columbia, and on Front Street. And so the total, kind of net value of that is about 600,000 gallons. Since it's a 4-to-1 ratio, that means 150,000 gallons can be sold by the municipality to these projects. They really can't be given away because the taxpayers paid for them, and these are private development projects. So the scheme is, not scheme, but I guess the process going forward, which we have to send to DEC and they have to review and they have to approve, but it's done by other municipalities, is they would approve the 4-to-1 offsets. They would approve the mechanism to create the bank of available credits, if you will. And developers can either purchase those credits or they can propose separation projects within the system and conduct the construction on their own under, and then basically convey it back to the city when it was done.
Now, so are you gonna be instructing us how to go forward with that in terms of
What's that?
credits? How, you said that we're gonna have to come up with the credit system and how to charge and everything?
Right.
So how will we do that? Are you gonna give us?
Yeah. That just goes back into our response. I mean, DEC has to accept everything, so there's really not much to do until, we've sent it. We've had some discussions about the process with the mayor, Andy Howard, the commissioner, and our engineer. And so we send it off to DEC, and then they review and approve it. And based on what their approval is, then we have to create codify the actual mechanism to do it. And
I see, so it's sitting with DEC right now.
it has to go to DEC. We just finished legal review last week, so we're just going to send it off this week.
Question from council members.
Yes.
Vicky.
You got it.
Rob, how many crosswalks can you install with a $10,000 pallet? And how often do you have to redo? You said every 2 seasons? Could it be,
Well,
right?
What happens is, there's, you probably don't realize it, but there's literally over 100, probably 120 crosswalks out in the system right now. So they all last a couple of years. So you figure what we do is the material goes down for stop bars. It also goes by to maintain the existing crosswalk. So basically we're treading water. We're able to repair the ones that are in the worst shape, as well as stop bars. And that's, we spend about $10,000 a year on that material. We have our materials and supply accounts about 160,000 or something like that. So, you're talking about 12 to 15% of the annual budget that's designed to pay for the fuel for all of our vehicles, the materials that go in the streets for restoration work, the brick to rebuild catch basins, concrete. So there's a lot of things that get charged against that account. 10,000 doesn't sound like a lot, but like I said, it's about 12% of what you give us. Obviously, the more money in the material supply account, the more material we can buy. That leads us to our second issue, which is getting appropriate staffing. We do have a vacancy now, but a couple of qualified people told us our salaries are just too low. There was a mechanic that left a couple of years ago. He was making $23. He's at the school district making $30 or $32. So it's not like people are leaving for 15 cents or $1 an hour. We're competing against significantly higher salaries.
So the box of 10,000, how many?
We'll probably, that'll probably get most of the ones that are in need of repair done this year. It won't be there for any new ones.
I have a question. I'm not sure if pretty sure you did see it or not, but up on right across from Little Debbie's Ales, there's a right in front of the torch, the Olympic torch that's burning. There's like a metal tub. Is that your department? Or I don't know if it's metal or concrete. It's like sitting right in front of the torch that's burning. Is that your department? Is that there for a reason or?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's right on Columbia Street side, right in front of the Olympic torch that's burning. There's like I don't know if it's concrete or metal, but it's like right on the side. Could be
It's a horse trough.
What's that?
Isn't it a horse trough?
Oh, I don't know. It's what it looks like. I don't know.
Is it a barrier for the torch while it's lit with the kerosene?
What?
I mean, it's in front of the torch. Is that some kind of
But there's
barrier?
a fence there, so I don't
Yeah.
know.
No, it's on the street. I never noticed it before, honestly.
Street side, where the street is, like you're driving, and you can like over your
I wonder
car.
if that's related to the fire incident that happened there.
Maybe.
I don't know what it looks like. I don't know what it is. I never noticed it before.
Yeah, there's been a question that's been coming up in the emails also. That.
I don't know what to tell you. I never saw it before. I don't know what it is.
Oh, wow.
So Rob, just a quick question. I know that the work on Union Street is ongoing on the separation of water and sewer. I think they're probably working on the sewer component now. Do you have any, I think I've gotten questions on this, and I think probably the road cannot be repaved or whatever until everything is done. But do you have any estimate on when that stretch of Union from Fifth down to where, right now it's patched at the intersection, and so forth. Do you have any idea when that's likely to be fixed?
Yeah, well, first of all, let's just be clear that those patches are National Grid's patches and have nothing to do with the city of Hudson. But I believe they are waiting for their crews to finish on the 300 block of State Street. And once the local crews are done with that work, then they're going to bring a crew in to mill and pave the street.
Do you know if they have to wait until the sewer work is completed on that stretch of Union?
Well, that's the issue. We would prefer that they do it after the sewer work is done, because then, otherwise we're gonna be cutting through brand new pavement to make those connections. But, the reality is their schedule is kind of, we give them the permits, but it's their schedule. We can't dictate, when they kind of come in and do their work, and they want to wrap this up and, and move on somewhere else. So we're hoping to get them so that we can finish the sewer, and then they can come and finish their restoration, and then we can do the sewer restoration. And then the final product would be next year, we would mill and pave all the trench work and put down a whole new road, because you've got 2 new utilities in there. So that makes it a great candidate.
So do you know approximately when the sewer work will be completed?
The sewer work is probably going to start in maybe a week or so. And I believe it's not that long. It's probably a month and a half to 2 months worth of work. So, figure October-ish, it should be done.
So, that's why it pushes the street, if it goes like, it would make sense to wait until everything's done to redo the road, right? So that's
Like
why
this, I mean, I would, if they were both my jobs, then yes, we would absolutely coordinate. But the National Grid job is not, isn't a city job. So if they want to come in and do their restoration next week, I mean, that's when they're going to do it.
Right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other council members? We have one public, questions, Bill, not speeches. Bill? You're muted.
He missed it. I had office hours today.
Can you hear
too.
me?
Yes, we are here.
Okay, Rob, I can easily find Heather Campbell, Tracy Delaney, Craig Hay, and the mayor, and Mashonda Franklin, and Liz York in their offices. I know where they can be found, and I often do find them in person in their offices. How come I can't find you in an office?
What, Billy, you missed it today. I was in my office for 4 hours.
Hey,
I had office hours today.
Where's that office, Rob?
Oh my God, I was up visiting the clerks, and I was in the treasurer's office, and I was talking to someone in the city clerks.
Is this issue a joke to you, Mr. Perry?
Is it something that is?
That nobody knows where your office is, and you can't be found in person, and that your clerks, both of your clerks, have told me numerous times that you are never is the word they used, never in the DPW offices on the second floor of City Hall. Do you have an office anywhere that a human being can contact you in person?
The city is my office. I don't know what to tell them.
Moving right along.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rob.
All right, thanks.
Ooh. Let's see, where are we? So I mentioned, Kershaw, and has requested that we look into the intersection at Prospect and Columbia. Now, the question is, I talked to one of the local engineers, and the question is, what kind of study do we do there? Because it can range anywhere from $5,000 to $100,000, depending on what we actually do.
I think there's been studies before though, wasn't there?
As there, I don't know.
I think that's always been an issue with intersections. Always, since I've been here that it's been an issue.
Well, in that case, I'll ask Rob in the future to chime in on that, because I'm sure he knows that there has been. But, so the question will be, whether fortunately again. But
What are we trying to determine?
I think it's just,
How we can make it more safe?
yeah, I mean, that's the principle, but I mean. So your concern is the safety at the spot.
Yes.
But wouldn't the first question be how many accidents are there?
It's quite an accident was there.
Chief, do you have any?
I don't have the data in front of me, but I can certainly generate it.
Yeah, that would be
I mean,
useful.
I think that would be the first thing. to
How
look at.
many years back? Like how much data do you want?
5 years, sound right?
Five?
Yeah.
Okay,
Something like that.
okay.
I think the first thing we can do is reduce and eliminate any signage during political signs on that park. That becomes a visual barrier.
I don't think you can do anything that way.
But,
Wasn't it?
I don't think you can do that.
but sure, we can, if it's a big, it's safety.
Property, I don't know.
It's
But if they're all low, I don't see how they really affect the signage, which is higher elevated.
That, it's been told in the past, that's one of the barriers.
Really?
It's because of signage, that's put in that triangle. Because you gotta remember, there's no there's no uniformity on the signage. People just put them however they want. You know what I mean? Unless we designate that where it can go. But if it's safe, if it's something about safety, we definitely can permit signage to be there if it's a safety issue.
Gary?
But don't you think you'd have to first of all demonstrate that during the periods of election, there was an increase in accidents? Because if there's no impact, observable impact in the signage, then how can you suppress?
Well, unless some of the data states it, right,
I
that,
mean,
you know,
that'd
it's
be
a
one
barrier.
aspect of the study, and then the other would be to have a traffic engineer look at it and say, this would be a better design for this intersection.
Right.
Right?
Would you be able to do month by month breakdown as well? Yeah, I think that would be important to see the trend of the.
Start there. What happened? Oh. Hmm. Did somebody hit a wire somewhere?
Still.
Oh, no, we're back. Well, we're back here.
Coming back on.
Is
Does
it?
that mean at all? Does that mean it's coming back on when it's?
I don't
Oh,
think
does that-
it's on here.
Okay, hold on.
What you think, Gabby?
Did you blew up one of the fuse?
No,
That was small.
Sounds like ransomware.
I can see them all, so it's not.
They're over the.
Sometimes the wall is, will show me.
Is there a power button on here? That may have
No,
just
that's-
turned off.
Oh.
Let's see, it would be there. Can you all hear us online? Rich, can you hear us? We can hear it. Or you can hear us.
We can
Yes,
hear
I
you
can
guys,
hear
we just can't see you.
Turn off the video on there?
Oh, yeah, that's.
Guy should be back. Is the video back?
Coming back.
I can see the video now.
Mhm.
Go on. Right there. Come back.
Well, there we go. Okay.
Work done.
So, what am I doing? What next? Oh,
I think Gary had a comment. on-
oh, yes, Gary, you good?
Well, yeah, I'm fine.
Okay, so we move along. I want to skip to a resolution because we have some guests who are going to speak to a resolution and answer questions. So let's skip to resolution number 12.
Which is, what's it?
This is the authorizing the mayor to execute an addendum to the master consumer agreement with T2 Systems for mobile pay software. So I need, hold on a second. An introduction in a second. Jennifer and Mike. Okay, I don't know if you've all had a chance to look this through, but this is the beginning of our project to add, well, it's two things. One is to put kiosks in all the city parking lots, all five. And then to add kiosks to the unmetered sections of Warren Street. Crystal, you wanna help with this a little bit?
So the city had entered into an initial agreement, a master agreement with T2 Systems back in February was when the council had approved it. And that was for some of the enforcement software. So what this is this is an addendum to that agreement that is actually for the mobile pay that's going to go along with the pay stations that the city is going to be purchasing through Integrated Technology Solutions. I believe that's the other company's name. You don't see any reference to integrated technical systems here for that purchase, because that's actually going to be a separate contract that I just received today. So you'll have that before you for next week's meeting. But right now, the T2 Systems addendum is for the mobile pay option that's going to go with those pay stations.
So when we approved a couple of months back, that was because we had issues with enforcement, correct? We have to,
Yes.
right? And so that was like this earlier where we had, so is this addendum a similar scope of work, but for the new kiosk?
Correct.
Have we decided, has a decision been made with RFPs and so forth as to what vendor we're going with for?
Yeah.
That's all.
We didn't issue an RFP, but we did interview a bunch of,
And you've made a decision as to who's being used?
the department committee did, yeah.
Okay,
6 of us on the committee.
so what entity is being used for that?
ITS, which I can't remember what it stands for, but they,
Integrated Technical Systems. That's the one that I just got the contract on today.
And they will have the physical kiosks and so
Correct,
forth, and
yeah.
all of that?
they brought them to one of our meetings and we were very impressed with it. Joe Gerlano's here from them, and Jody Bacchus is here from T2.
So why was there no RFP process for that?
Because we interviewed a whole bunch, but we didn't have to issue an RFP because it's under the, what's it called again, Crystal, can you recall?
I can never remember the exact name, but it's for specific software. So you're looking at vendors that offer a specific type of solution, and that's what you're looking at here.
Okay.
Right, but the software is one thing, the physical kiosks are another, correct? Or is this all?
Yeah.
Okay, right, okay.
Yeah, but you gotta understand, the systems that were chosen were because they talk to each other.
Yeah.
Got it, okay.
So if you have any questions, I know, Jennifer had one, but I think they answered it
And they know.
in And,
Email.
in your emails. Great, that was it. But Joe's here and Jody's here. If there's any questions, I mean, we're not gonna vote on this tonight anyway, we'll vote next week. But, so study, hopefully let the contract running us so we can study that in time for next week's vote. Gary,
Has it been determined that all of Warren Street that is unmetered will be metered?
correct.
Yes.
That goes back to our original parking study, which highly recommended. Chief,
Is it going based, on license plate? For the kiosk to enter in, for like, instead of space number?
correct.
Yes. Can I
There's gonna be
ask the council to consider something
no striking.
with that?
Yeah.
Being that the Amtrak long-term lot is numbered, could you consider removing those numbers and also making that based on license plate?
Definitely. That's
Yes.
part of it.
Okay, great.
Definitely.
And so you had brought up an issue in a discussion we had a couple of weeks ago, about the plate numbers, it not being connected. This is in relation to towing, I think,
Yes.
not being connected to the actual owner of the vehicle.
Yes, and I think what's been happening recently, and obviously DPW fixed it, right, they're doing work down in the Amtrak lot, is when they made some of those handicap spaces, the numbers got moved, so there were people paying for parking in a specific number, and then they were getting ticketed because they weren't in that number. So I think if we change it.
So you,
to
but
license
you
plate-
you had a different issue, which was that, if I get a ticket, if the plate on my car gets a ticket and I change my plate, the ticket.
Oh, yeah, that was brought up with the city attorney as well, and I think they're still working on that, I think we spoke about that a while ago.
Is that gonna be resolved in this process?
Towing thing?
No, yeah, well, the issue is that, the ticket is tied to the plate and doesn't connect to the owner of the
I
vehicle.
think there was a resolution or a discussion to change the code to where, for unpaid fines, it would go to either the registered owner,
Right,
the vehicle, multiple things, because the way it's written now, it only goes to the license plate.
so with
That's,
with
it's a little bit different. It's a little.
with this system, the plate is connected somewhere in DMV to the registered owner, right?
Joe, you wanna answer that, or Jody?
No?
No, I don't think so.
No, you're muted. Muted.
There we go. Muted. I'm sorry, the question, could you repeat the question?
Yeah, the question came up, in a discussion I had with Chief Franklin a few weeks ago on a different issue, where, tickets issued are issued on the basis of the plate number. And if somebody changes vehicles or changes their plate, then there's no connection of those tickets to the registered owner of the vehicle that was ticketed. And so, right, so I know I don't have that car, so I'm no longer going to be getting any dunning notices about unpaid tickets because the plate number is not connected to me as the registered owner of the vehicle. And so what I'm asking is, with how we're doing this, is that going to continue to be an issue? Or is there a connection?
If there's a
here between
plate
the
at the
plate
time
and
of
the
being
registered?
ticketed, they would still be registered to a person. I don't understand.
But that's what Chief Franklin was saying, that it doesn't work that way.
No, I think, I understand what you're saying, but I think your question isn't for them, for
Okay.
T2 systems, that's.
You think it's an internal?
Yeah, I think it's-
Okay, okay,
for us.
thank you.
Yeah, I think so. By the way, guys, I think Jody is, she's muted and she can't get off mute. I don't know if there's anything you guys can do on your side. I'm not sure. Oh. Yeah, I'm not sure if she can get off mute. Let me see.
Any other questions from council members?
Yeah.
Yes.
How quickly can the kiosk and the software be implemented after a decision is made about whether we're going forward?
Well, the kiosks and the software, is about 4 to 6 weeks is the time frame for implementation. During that period where we're waiting for the equipment, we'll work on getting, some of the, the setup and the programming. We have some paperwork that we'll send to you guys for, to fill out as it relates to programming issues, as it relates to a merchant processor, credit card merchant processor setup. So we'll have all that completed by the time the equipment gets in, and then we'll be able to install and get you going ASAP. Obviously, training and all that will take place in and around the time of installation.
And how long are the warranties on these machines?
It's a full year for hardware, software, and labor.
And
Mobile, just a mobile pay, by the way, implementation is about 3 to 4 weeks, from time of order, the pay by phone piece of this.
okay, and when it comes to repairs, who is responsible for that? Within the
Yeah, that would,
It's us.
yeah, that would, I'm sorry, this is Adam. Adam works with me at ITS. We are down our office. We have our corporate office is in Wallingford, Connecticut. Our office here in Parsippany, New Jersey, we have technicians on the road at all times. Our typical response time is 24 hours. We do stock all spare parts, probably about 95% of any spare part that you would use. So basically what we would do in a situation, for services is we would carry the part on our truck, we'd get you up and running, replace it with our part, and then we would send your part, RMA it back for repair. And then when it came back, we would just put it in our stock. So we'll get you guys up and running, as quickly as possible. We probably have close to 2,500 to 3,000 of these pay stations installed throughout the Northeast and as far now down as Atlanta, Georgia. And we've been working with T2 probably about 16, 17 years.
so this so this assistance that you're going to provide is part of the contract. It's not any extra, bill.
Yeah,
that we'll have.
right. Well, the initial warranty period absolutely is 100%, part of the contract for the equipment. Then after the warranty period ends, you'll have the ability to re-up for either hardware and software only for warranty, or hardware, software, and labor, or you could just do time and material. But we normally recommend, and we see most customers, it's best at a bare minimum that they do the hardware and software extended warranty, because it just benefits them more, because if basically if any one of the major components has a problem, or needs to be replaced, and it basically the warranty basically pays for it.
Replacement without question, really.
Right, exactly.
Can you give us,
Sure.
can you give us an approximate figure of the yearly warranty cost, like the extension of the warranty?
Sure. Yeah, the hardware and software only is in and around between $950 to $1,000 per unit. And then if you were to do hardware, software, and labor, it would probably be in the $1,500 or $1,600 range.
Wait, $1,600 per unit?
Per unit per year, right? Exactly.
Per year, okay.
Per
Per
unit.
year.
No,
Per unit per year, correct? Yeah,
Not per unit.
per
right.
year,
Per
and
year.
then we have the other 1,200 in addition to that, correct?
This is
I'm
all
sorry?
in the,
So wait,
I apologize. Could you say again?
we'll wait for the contract to see it. That's
So how many units are we talking about?
Joe, how many units were we talking about? Do you remember?
16 to include the Amtrak lot and the other lot on Union Street.
The municipal lots, right?
Yeah.
We're talking.
Actually, can I ask one more question, because the other one will be voting and we won't have the time. So here it says, this is the initial annual amount of 1,250. So when you say initial, like, what is this gonna be really, the amount?
Where,
What it would be in the third year down the road? What is
well,
that?
I'm sorry, where are you looking, ma'am?
That's the T2.
She's looking at the T2, yeah, the T2 systems where the initial cost is gonna be
Figure. Yeah.
Are you looking at,
1,250.
I think you may be, is that the T2 mobile pay agreement, or is that for the,
It's not ITS, it's the T2 mobile pay agreement.
oh, it's the T2, yeah. Jody is, like I said, she, for whatever reason, she cannot, unmute, but, let me see, she's on the text line here right now. Is there a phone number she can call in, she's asking?
The link should have a phone.
The invitation has a phone number.
Yeah.
Hang on, we actually got it directly off the website, let me see.
If you go to their website and you look up the calendar, there is a phone number with you.
Okay, hang on one sec. Let me see.
So while they're doing that, can I ask a question which has nothing to do with that? So how are we going to roll this out to the public?
Do you have a plan? I'm counting on you. No, we'll figure it out. I mean, we'll have to.
No, I mean, we have to have
Sure.
some information, we have to have some kind of plan to inform people of this, that when it's gonna happen, what it's gonna be. Like, not a public hearing, but a rollout.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Obviously, it's gonna be in the city website, plus we have to put it in the race tester or something.
Right, but the web, that doesn't, I think there should be some sort of in-person session where people could get information about this.
We're gonna have 46 weeks. Once we approve it, we're gonna have 46.
Right, we have time, but we
Right.
need to think about how we're going to.
Absolutely.
Everybody think about it, that's it.
Right, right.
The parking study group thing, yeah, and that.
Right.
So let's just wait for the contract to come out and then we'll address this, the specifics, so.
Okay, so move right along. Oh, I've got some hands up. We have Heather. Good Heather.
Hi. Hi, can you hear me? Okay, just a couple things. One is I'm assuming that all of these costs are covered under the amount that we budgeted for replacement parking systems. Just want to confirm that. Two, to Margaret's questions, we are going to need to have a good sense of what renewal costs will be, including any kind of additional warranties for 2025 budgeting. So if we could get some information from both of the vendors that would, extrapolate the costs out and the different options in terms of warranties going forward, that would be great. And third, just an idea. One of the ways that we often communicate to citizens, and obviously it doesn't hit all of them, but it hits most of them, is through the water and sewer quarterly billing. So that might be an option in terms of letting people know that parking might be changing down in that neck of the woods. That's it.
Thank you, Heather. That's a good idea. I have some time for this. Thank you, Heather.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, I know. Bill, question?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
So I'm trying to understand that you're going to do this, you're going to roll out this new parking meter system or whatever you want to call it, without a proper parking department. Is that correct? I mean,
Hold on. You want to answer the question or you want to answer it yourself?
Go ahead.
The theory that we came up with at the parking group committee meeting, was that this should increase revenues such that we then be able to develop a parking director and hire a parking director.
Yep.
Well,
Okay?
when do you plan for that to happen?
I don't know.
We have to get revenue.
Yeah, we can see what kind of revenue it generates.
You're putting the cart before the horse. You'll never succeed. Thank you for letting me talk.
Okay, thank you. Okay, moving right along.
Okay, well, hands
Oh,
shaking.
who's this? Yeah, go ahead. Okay, I acknowledge you, whoever you are there, with your hand up.
Hold on.
No, it's just Bill. Bill was the only hand up is Bill.
Yeah, but there's somebody waiting there.
There's someone waiting.
Yeah, I think it's.
You're muted, sir. You're Sartan Winewell.
You have to unmute yourself.
You can't mute yourself. We cannot hear you. You're still muted.
Yeah, you are unmuted from outside.
Oh, here we go. I got it. I think I got it. Thank you so much. Hello, my name is Sartan Weinrup. I'm what I call a local resident commuter. I live in Stuyvesant and I've been buying a long-term parking pass for over 10 years. And I just want to say two things very important. We're starting a group. We have a number of people already. We've submitted a FOIL request to gather all of the long-term parking pass holders. We're trying to unify us together as a political party because we believe we have been an untapped resource. You know, we have looked over the parking lot for so many years. I help people with batteries go out, shovel the snow. Granted, I come in on a Friday and leave on a Sunday, so I don't see this stuff during the week you guys have been talking about. But there's two things I want to say. Number one, many people are going to Poughkeepsie. And so there's a significant loss of income for commerce that's already coming. You know, I myself have paid $1,000 a year, plus on average, $200 a weekend when I buy restaurants in Hudson. And now we're considering going to Poughkeepsie and parking at Poughkeepsie, and all of that income for me alone, let's just say it's $200 a week. That's $800 a month. If you think 100 of us, the amount of income that's going to be lost suggests that this was a very short-sighted decision to take away the long-term parking passes. That's number one. Number two, I watched the video, the Zoom of the meeting itself, and I have to say, it was very hurtful and appalling for someone like me, a local resident commuter, mainly because there was a clear animosity towards us, and there was a lack of representation of us. We were considered, we were othered, and that othering, it makes me not want to be a part of the city of Hudson that I've been a part of for so long and felt that I was a backbone of, and now all of a sudden I'm not, because I don't live in the city of Hudson, yet I am a local resident commuter. So I know there's a lot more to say. I don't want to waste everybody's time. I just want you to know we are gearing up and we are going to be a political force. And those people in that meeting, the last, after point 30 of that meeting, if you watch the Zoom meeting on April 24th or something, you people did not do right by us. And it's unjust what was happened without representation and without communication. So I thank you for your time, but I want you to know we are a force that's coming. Thank you.
Jennifer, do you want to speak?
I'd like to respond to you. For 10 years, I commuted back and forth from Hudson to New York City 3 times a week for work. So I'm really familiar with the parking situation down here. We are buying new software so that it won't be as it is now. It's not going to be where you have to re-up every day, and it's probably not going to cost you as much. It won't be $1,000 though.
And that's fine. I mean, honestly, to raise the price is fine. But the way, and you in particular spoke about it, was insulting to us because you suggested we don't have rights, and that's unjust. And
I don't
and
think I
and I just want to say,
suggested-
yes. So I mean, the political process was unjust. The way you made the decision, we're happy to pay more. If you said to make it $1,500 a year, I would love to pay more, but I can't do that now when we have been denied a voice and a consent in the way, and you're acting as if we don't exist, which is completely untrue. So, and I know you commuted, and I heard you say that in the meeting also before, but you're not, you're acting like someone who's gotten, now you can live in Hudson full time, so the rest of us who can't, we don't matter, and that's unfair. Hudson is the 3rd largest train station in New York State, and it's going to grow whether you guys allow it to or not. It's going to grow. There's going to be a large long-term parking space there someday. Let's do it right. Let's encourage and bring us together and not push us away and other us and say, you don't exist, because it's easier to simply cancel long-term parking and have this one new system. That's really what it was. It was an easy decision, but not a just one or a financially wise one. And by saying one more thing, I forgot. We are planning on meeting with the Hudson Commerce Association to let them know the financial loss that you guys have created.
We're changing the way you pay for it.
Can I ask you
No,
a
but you're
question?
not.
sir?
Because
Can I ask you a question?
I paid $1,000 a year, and now you're asking me to pay $3,650 a year. So you're not changing it.
If you want to keep your car there 24 hours a day, every day.
Sir, so,
No. See, that's not a fair statement, what you're saying. I know exactly what you mean, and I do see some few people who leave their cars there like all year, and it's crazy. But you can't just give a service and then just completely take it away. That's the unjust part. That we had a service that was reasonably priced, and now it's not. And I agree, no one should leave the car there 24/7. I agree, that's not good for the car.
Yeah, people
People
live there.
do that.
I know, but those are the minority. They're not the majority, and you're acting like they are, and they're not.
If we say something about like, that means there's a 24/7 car, vehicle park over there. We mentioned about them, not like particular you guys.
So, thanks for voicing your opinion, but we're not.
See you soon.
You're not minutes. So you still are able to park as often as you want there. The prices will not be significantly higher if you're just going a certain amount of days. So,
But they are significantly higher. You're not being honest, because they are. When you take something that's $1,000 and you make it $3,650, it is significant.
Why you think you should pay more?
I want to pay more, but not 365% more. That's a price gouge. That's not fair to me.
5% more
But by-
every single day.
By your own admission, you're saying that you're only here for the weekends. That's 3 days.
My car is parked there, excuse me, my car is parked there Sunday night through Friday and has for 10 years. And I'm happy to pay more, but don't price gouge me, not offer me a service for 10 years and then all of a sudden say I don't exist and charge me something that's outrageous, especially when I can go to Poughkeepsie and pay $400 a year.
sir, you said that you're commuting for work?
Yes.
So isn't that a write-off for your parking?
I
don't know what, maybe, yeah, probably, hopefully.
Right, so, right, so, so what is the issue if you're doing 3 days a week? Aren't you gonna then only gonna be paying, rather for the month, you're only gonna be paying for 3 days a week rather than the month?
No, I'm not. I'm gonna be paying $50 a week for 5 days, Sunday night through Friday. That's I'm gonna be paying $50 a week now to park. That's what you've done to me.
Okay, moving right on. Thank you, sir. Any other questions as we move along? Okay, let's go back to our other. Thank you, Joe and Jody. I hope you can make it next week. If there's more questions, the 20th, 6 o'clock, same time, same channel. Resolution.
Sure, guys. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
First resolution, appointing Commissioner of Deeds. All right. I have an introduction in a second. Margaret? Next, next resolution. Is authorizing a budget amendment related to the Oakdale Beach House feasibility study. There seems to be an additional fee. $4,000. I have an introduction in a second, please. Margaret and Jennifer. Hey, Jen, I moved to the right now.
I think you skipped the part of the Department of Labor. Resolution.
You're right, I did. I'm sorry. Good thing. I have another one. Oh, okay, okay. So Commissioner Beatrice. And Jennifer. I'm sorry, Margaret and Drew. What are you writing down? Just going back here, and then Margaret and Jennifer on the, okay, going back to number 2. Accepting a fire department donation from Hudson Valley Ceremonies in the amount of $500. Margaret and Rob. A resolution authorizing Oakdale funds donations to the youth department. Jennifer and Margaret. Authorizing Oakdale plunge funds to the fire department. And okay. Next resolution authorizing New York State Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation funding under the EPA grant program for Oakdale Park Improvement Project. Introduction second, Devon. And Vicky. The next is a resolution, a memorandum of understanding with the Sylvia Center for Youth Department Programming. As you may recall, this is a total donation in services. Introduction a second, Lola and Jennifer. And then the next resolution authorizes another memo of understanding with the Sylvia Center for their programming. Lola and Jennifer. The next is Senior Center donations. Introduction second. Margaret and Vicky. Okay, this next one. This is allowing the planning board to count as their training. As you know, in the code, planning board members must train for 4 hours. Well, this is, this allows to include as part of that training, a session with their attorney and a session with the Muni Collab software designers. An introduction in a second. Margaret and Juan.
I have questions.
I do too. I'm not happy with this resolution, I gotta tell you myself. But go ahead, Jennifer.
So the lawyer is going to take them on site visits? What?
No,
Don't
no,
know.
site plan, just that's what they're called, site plans. It's not
Okay.
taking you to the site, it's about going through site plan.
And being able to, they're
Yeah.
going to explain it.
Yeah, but
What is the other training involved? Usually,
they're trying to use their Muni, because they're gonna learn how to use that software we got them.
right,
They're trying to use that as a means of satisfying their,
That doesn't need it.
I don't agree, I agree with you, Mark.
Yeah, no, I think that should be separate because
I do too.
that changes hands can change. You know what I mean?
I agree.
So that training can actually be.
Serious.
That doesn't meet the compliance requirement. Well, we just get trained on software.
Yeah,
yeah.
so there it is, we'll let them know and see if they come back with any, yeah, I'm glad most of us seem to agree. And
I don't get the lawyer thing. So lawyer thing as part of their, as a part of their actual training,
yeah,
wouldn't that be specific to case by case anyway? So how can it be part of the training?
I know, I exactly, yeah,
The-
exactly.
If I could just speak on the lawyer part, sorry. With respect to the lawyers providing training, the lawyers can provide training on broader issues. So it's not case by case. They can talk about the criteria under which the planning board can properly review and approve a site plan application, or the ethics that are involved with planning boards and making those decisions. So that's where the attorney training often comes in. I'm not speaking to the Munich Lab at all. I don't know what was part of that. But one thing we can do is I can go back to the planning board's attorney and ask them to provide a synopsis of exactly what trainings were provided with respect to this, so that the council can see that.
Great, that would be good idea, thank you.
So Tom, you were on the planning board.
Chair?
Right, so just like we have the AVO training and things like that, right? That's for different boards. Isn't there a standard for people?
There is, there's state training.
So why isn't that the standard? Why are we straying from the standard?
It's me. Maybe they just don't, I don't know. I really don't know. Maybe they feel overtrained. That's,
No one can be overtrained.
yeah, yeah. And I don't want to say anymore because I have other thoughts about the current planning. Board. Anyway. What else? The last.
The resolution for.
We were at the pocket.
PBA.
For the property factors.
Yeah.
Renting for 5 years.
Yeah. I have a question. Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, let's get introduction in a second first.
Is this possible?
Yeah, the public, Margaret and one. Pages of the nine.
Add some questions on.
I do. So, Krista, you mind if I go first? Krista, I thought we were trying to, I know you negotiated this, correct? Or did Andy?
Well, this is based off of the original lease that we had in place. It was a 2-year original lease that was in place for a portion of the parking area.
Right.
That was originally negotiated, and then what happened is that Andy had they had asked for an extension for a renewal for 5 years, and there was also a request for an option for another 5 years to an option for renew another 5 years beyond that. In going back with Andy, we left it with just the original 5-year renewal term without the option to renew in here, but it's still otherwise the same substantive lease that was agreed to, that was part of the original 2-year lease, if that makes sense.
Margaret?
So when we originally did this lease for that parking, the rationale for it was that during the construction period, they needed parking for the construction vehicles. It was supposed to be a temporary thing. It was not intended to be a long-term parking arrangement.
Right.
So this, that surprises me that we're looking at this now as some kind of long-term situation. And the other question I have, and I don't have a map, is what is when the Galvan depot loft stuff was going on, there was talk of parking in, I think, in this general area as well.
So he bought his property next to that.
So is that like, that parking is completely separate and unimpinged by any of this?
Correct.
Okay, but I think we need to take a look at this because this was not the original intent of that.
It's long.
I think we need an escalated, fee, right? I mean, to say for 5 years.
Yeah. Tom, if the council wants to talk about specific terms of the lease to be negotiated, we can do that in executive session. It might be better, and then we can bring it back to PBF that way.
Okay,
So, Kristen, the questions for me are not so much about the terms of the lease. It's the intent of the original lease was a temporary lease during construction.
Right.
And I think one of the things the council has to think about is what are the implications? Like, we need to look at the big picture of parking in that area and in that ward and what potential, we were giving this up for a short term. And it wasn't a large amount of parking as I recall, right? It was just a small number of spaces.
It's a small section.
It was a small section of
I mean, if it can fit a good number of spaces.
Yeah, but it wasn't like a big section, but I think we really need to go back and think through, like, is this a long-term plan that we want to have?
I think they consider that it's gonna take another 5 years to finish. I assume that's what it sounds for their truck. I don't think it's for their actual parking.
We need clarity on this,
Yeah.
definitely. And
Yeah,
we
what
need
the
to have
what it looks like again is.
And we
gonna
need
say
to
the
have
same
an
thing.
executive meeting to discuss all this.
You're independent.
Okay.
It's my ward, it's in West, like a couple blocks from my house, and there's no parking on the street there. It's taken already. There has to be a place for people to park, or it's gonna create chaos. But my questions are more specific, and I guess the rest of them will wait until.
Okay, well, we have an executive session coming up anyway tonight, so
We'll discuss it.
we can discuss it back in terms of the process. So, we have 2 laws that remain on our desk. We that we'll be voting on next week. The restraint of animals and maximum speed limit. We need to put two laws on our list tonight, so I need an introduction and a second to the formal retail law. Jennifer Martin. And I need an introduction and second to the filming law. Jennifer and okay, now, can I have a motion to go into executive session to discuss matters of litigation?
I'll make the motion.
Dominic, and second? No. Duan. Okay, for those who were not in the meeting, this is to discuss two cases of potential litigation. Okay, so I'll either get rid of you or you can get rid of yourself. Rich, please stay on. Crystal, please stay on. Linda, please stay on.
So after we come out of executive session, is there any other business?
No, there isn't.
Okay,
There's no other business if you want. I mean, you will have to, I think, technically come back.
We gotta come out.
Come back.
just for the public.
Right, if you don't want to come back, you're not going to miss anything, because we're not going to, I mean, there'll be public discussion, you know, so maybe you want to come back. We'll figure it out. Meeting. Be nice if you removed yourself, save us some time here, folks.
I think you have to close. You have to close the map.
Okay?
Yeah. Otherwise, they can-
Done away with.
Okay.
Right now,
No.
take me away.
It's probably my husband.
Oh. Bill, please. Bill, you can't stay in our executive session. When I remove you, stay removed.
How can you pop back in?
This is, yeah.
Is it not like Zoom?
Yeah, it's gonna be much harder to just pop right in. Okay, let's see.
Stop recording.
Oh. Wait, recording. No,
You didn't record it?
I stopped.